Woohoo! Okay, so, and I think I'm in the right cosplay to be able to talk to you guys about it. So, welcome to my live, you guys. This is the afternoon show. So, typically, my day shows are about neurolinguistic astrology, as well as some fun other things as it comes to health, as I was a personal trainer for a very long time, competed in fitness, all that kind of stuff. So, right now, I've been attempting to put together all of my shows from a perspective of like I've done a lot of videos on like random things, right? So everything from like Marilyn Monroe's birth and death chart, the stuff with like JFK, because when I found astrology, it was like this whole world opened up to me, and so I got very caught up in making, let's say, content, even though I don't like that word, content creation. I made a lot of content about astrology, but it didn't really necessarily have my personal lens on it. I was still learning, let's put it. So now that I would say that I get astrology in terms of it being a language, right? It's just more of an active observation. And I really kind of was very suspicious of the whole thing when I started to learn all of it, because you end up with like tarot and like psychic mediums and people telling you they can see spirits around you and all this kind of stuff. So I was very uncomfortable with almost offering anything like that, because I'm like, how do I know I'm a psychic? How do I know that other people are psychic? And like, what are psychic abilities, right? So what we're going to do today, I am Jean Grey. I'm playing as Jean Grey, who is an Omega level psychic in the X-Men / Marvel universe. She also is very much intrinsically connected to the Phoenix Force. And if you're not familiar with Phoenix symbology, it's all about creation and rebirth, this idea of sacrificing yourself to yourself in order to come up to another stage of like evolution, all that kind of fun stuff. So thank you guys for joining. Let's see here. Derp, why am I a trip? Hello, Richard Hardy, Neo Anderson. So hello, everybody. Welcome to Tuesday. I like to call it Truth Tuesday. I'm going to, April signaled, like with April 1st, also known as April Fools, but I look at it as like the courage to play the fool. Hey, Marilyn Manson, how's it going? So today's talk is going to be about psychic abilities. Ooh, but it's going to be in a very, how should I put it? I'm not a very woo-woo, I am woo-woo, but I am very suspicious of woo-woo things, right? Like when people tell me like, ooh, I'm psychic, it's like, well, so am I. And so I welcome all of you guys to really, can you join? Maybe after, I'm just going to do my little talk, because I'm on YouTube right now, and I'm presenting there as well, but I'm not going to be live the total time. So maybe we can, no worries, Marilyn. And I love how Marilyn Manson, I think like how he picked his name too is like Marilyn Monroe and Charlie Manson. I think the connection of those things. Oh, no worries. And thanks for following. So we can do maybe a battle at some point in the future. 360. I guess so, because this is the outfit. It's a little big. I gotta pull it in and stuff, because most of the outfits I get in terms of cosplay, I have been doing a lot of sewing lately. That's why you haven't seen me live, because I've been putting together some cosplays for what's coming up. So later on tonight, I finally finished my Ms. Marvel cosplay, you guys. So you can see, yeah, it's the base. This isn't everything, right? But I made this. So I will be unveiling that later on today or this evening. And we're going to be revisiting Avengers versus X-Men. And the X-Men themselves, right, regardless of what X-Men you find as your favorite, if you have a favorite X-Men, I want to hear it, because I do feel like your resonance and who you have as your favorite character will give you some intel into your own path on this journey we call life, right? So it's all clues to yourself. Like, so let's just get into the psychic ability thing. The Real Tech Geek, hello, welcome. So I look at this as like I'm putting on Cerebro, I'm using the technology tools that I have available to me, such as OBS on YouTube and multi-streaming on Beam and being on TikTok Live with you guys to give you guys some information as it comes to psi abilities and psychic abilities and electromagnetic radiation and the connection between all of these things. And I went down a couple of rabbit holes. So if you're watching on YouTube, I have some screen shares, but I'm going to read them out loud because a lot of them are more articles. If you want to talk a little bit more about the hormone health and the neuroendocrine system and how like the sciencey part of it, we can get into that another time, because when I do, let's say, diet plans or fitness stuff, especially when training women, your hormone levels are a big part of how you're able to put on muscle, lose weight, all that kind of stuff. Oh, the character I am today, Alexander, I'm Jean Grey. I'm going to be talking to you guys about psychic abilities. Woo woo. I'm super Coqui from Puerto Rico. Ooh, I love Puerto Rico. I haven't been yet, but it's funny. I have a Miss Captain America cosplay, and people always call me Captain Puerto Rico when I wear it because of just the way the flag is. I mean, if you looked at Captain America, his outfit is pretty much more Puerto Rico than it is America, but regardless. Hey Swifty, how's it going? Roman, hi, how are you? And hello everybody from Miss Jean Grey. I hope you're all feeling well today. Jean Grey's powers come from empathy, and that's a big reason why I love Jean Grey so much, because I relate to that. And if empathy and being intuitive is one way of being psychic, but there are a whole host of different abilities, and so I'm good. I'm talking to this is like superhero school, you guys. I've been trying to come up with different names for my new academy, like the gift. You know how like it's the gifted, what is it? Professor Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters. So to all of you kids out there who were weird kids and thought you could levitate and thought you could walk through walls, whatever your superpower you believed you could be when you were a kid, there is a level of truth to that, right? So just like I say to anyone, even if you're a born dancer, you still need to learn the choreography to the dance, right? So it's a matter of falling in love with the practice of it, right? If like drawing, I've been teaching myself how to draw again. And so I did draw when I was a kid, or like flexibility, right? Like I have my splits, for example, but if I don't stretch for a few days, those splits are not going to happen. So I welcome you guys with each of your skill set as it comes to physical, emotional, spiritual, your toolkit, your superhero stack. Just be aware that it's yours, right? And so your level and how you are harnessing it is going to be very unique to you. So with that, I'm just going to share with you guys this article I found, and then that'll bring us into the topic of today's conversation. And I welcome you guys to drop in the chat if you've ever had, what do you want to call it? Woo-woo things? You know, like deja vu, or like you dreamed about somebody and then they showed up, or this has happened a lot to me lately, like you think about someone and then they call you and you're like, what the heck? That was weird. So anything like that, I welcome all of you to focus in on those synchronicities, all those different attributes as they are in our cosmos, in our life right now, because it's very amped up. So I've always had deja vu. Yeah. So we're going to get into, I have like 37 different types of psychic abilities we're going to go over. And that being said, like look at all the different X-Men, for example. The X-Men, you could probably break them up and categorize them by different powers, right? So you have like the more physical attributes, like Cyclops is very kinetic energy, like Jubilee is like kinetic light, right? So or telekinesis, which is more kinetic in ability. Oh, Dandy Money Man! Oh, what a great gift! Thank you for that. Woo woo. Dizzy Bird. Oh, so birthday twin Dandy Money Man. Do you mind me asking what year you were born again? I think you told me, but I may have forgotten. Who is my favorite superhero of all time? I will say, growing up, it was She-Ra from the 80s version, not the new version. But She-Ra, like, what they did with the He-Man She-Ra thing is a travesty. I don't know what happened to Kevin Smith. Something happened. But I loved She-Ra. She-Ra was my favorite superhero of all time. I have a cosplay I'm working on with her because I love Valkyries. I love Norse mythology. I love Viking mythology. This concept of dying a good death is something that I don't know, I vibe with on some reason. And that's why those characters like Kara Zor-El, like Jean Grey, like Oracle / Barbara Gordon, those characters who have that resilience and toughness to be able to go through some really hard-ish, make really hard decisions, and still do the right thing at the end. Because at the end of the day, I don't look up to anyone who's living, like anyone who I meet, like Mariah Carey, for example. I love her voice. Mariah Carey was the very first CD that I bought, like her fantasy album. And Always Be My Baby was my favorite song of all time. And I still cry when I listen to certain music because that's just the way. But it's all to say that your favorites and what calls to you, like why you read a certain book for the 5th time and then that 5th time you catch something. What is that? Spider Carnage, hey, how's it going? I feel like many of you you are meant to hear what I'm going to talk to you about right now. Okay, so let's start practicing our psychic abilities, and like it's just like getting together with your friends and like trying to levitate something together, and then if you all manage to do that and you're all witnesses to it, right? Like, and just because it's not a fancy research study, which is all like corrupt anyways, because when you look at research articles, you guys, I used to work in the fitness industry, so I used to work for a company called Wellness Life Sciences, and they did products called Slim Quick and Envy. And Envy was a diet pill used by Carmen Electra and Holly Madison. So I was all part of like creating these marketing shticks to like hawk diet pills. Hey J Mags. So we're going to talk about psychic abilities, and I'm going to talk about it in a very scientific way, like a neuroscience way, and we're going to talk about it from a perspective of how our psychic abilities are impacted by all of the electromagnetic frequencies that exist out there, including the ones that we ourselves as human beings give off, or even radio signals, the music you listen to, even like turning on the news and listening to like corrupt politicians tell you lies. That's going to affect your brain in some sort of way, right? And so having psychic hygiene, having spiritual hygiene, being able to, be aware of what you allow into your sacred attention, that is key, my friends. And so I'm here to tell you, don't feel guilty. Don't feel guilty for cutting off energy vampires, especially if you're an empathetic person. You do not need to sacrifice yourself. Many of you have probably done more than your fair share of that. Myself included. So this talk is about taking your power back, taking your psychic powers back. If you are a clairvoyant, if you can see the future, if you can walk through walls, but you put that in a box, in a cage, and you're like, well, that's just for crazy people. You're not crazy. There's real things there. And if you ever need to talk to anyone about that, you can talk to me. Honestly, I feel like that's my mission here. Like, I honestly can say to you guys, I do not judge anyone. I truly do not. I've done some messed up stuff in my life based on, I was put in very traumatic situations, and you have to do what you got to do to survive, right? And regardless, I did them, and I have done things like, gossip about people and not stand up for certain people when I should have. But I've cultivated more courage over time, right? And I've now hit a point where I'm like, yes, I can do this and stand up to the blowback that will happen, of course, by talking about certain topics, right? Oh, yeah. Oh, thanks, Swifty. Oh, thanks, Michael. I'm glad that it resonates with you, because I'm going to give you guys some personal stories of my own psychic abilities. My psychic abilities do come from, like Jean Grey, it's a place of empathy. When I'm really close to people, like my sister, even my auntie, my hubby, I can feel them. So my husband, we met at a gym in downtown Toronto called Extreme Fitness, which doesn't exist anymore. It turned into a Good Life, and now I think it's like a Five Guys. It's like a burger joint now. But back in the day, the gym used to be in like this basement area, and there was like these escalators. And I kid you not, I could tell when my husband entered the building. Like I could always tell. I would have games with myself. I'm like, I bet he's gonna be in like 2 seconds, and it would be right. I could feel him before I could see him. And I have also just other things, like I can tell when my sister's in trouble. I can tell when certain friends, like I'll just call them and be like, hey, are you okay? And even if you are, I'm just here to tell you, like, you're awesome and I love you. So whatever you're going through, it'll pass. And just it's just that, like, I don't think people, I used to volunteer for Kids Help Phone and all that kind of stuff as well, because I'm very aware of, as someone who is very empathetic, and I feel a lot of things, for you to get caught up in other people's emotions and also just be like lost in it. Oh yes, prophetic dreams, we have that in my family. We just know it. Yeah. And so J-Mags and Swifty, like any of these powers, right? I'm sure this is why I love the X-Men so much, because if you contrast the X-Men to the Avengers, right? They both have powers, but the X-Men are like reviled by society. And yet they still protect them, right? Because you still do the right thing, because you are still humanity, genes evolving or not. And I guess also the question, like, what makes a human? What makes a human being? What is humanity? To be moral, to be just, to be good, right? And all of that does come from a personal perspective. You can't look externally for those metrics, even though this place would love for you to do that. You can take inspiration from anything presented to you, but at the end of the day, this is your universe, baby. Who is the master that makes the grass green? It's you, right? You're the one who colors that world. And then if you play with others, you all give each other permission to co-create something together. So it's a fun thing to have sacred play with each other. And yeah, so let's play. So on January 16th, 2024, this was about a year ago, there's this article called Brain Stimulation Unlocks Our Telepathy and Clairvoyance Powers. Oof. So this brain stimulation that they're talking about, the summary is this. Researchers proposed a groundbreaking model in the study of psi phenomena, suggesting that the human brain functions as a psi inhibitory filter. Hold that for a second. So in order to do this study, they used repetitive transcranial magnetic stimulation, also known as RTMS. Are you guys familiar with that? I didn't even know about TMS, and I took psychology in school, but it's a really interesting thing. And I found out that TMS was discovered and invented in 1985, which was the year of my birth, which I'm like, what is that? In the note. So the researchers used repetitive transcranial magnetic stimulation, also known as RTMS, to temporarily inhibit. So we're talking about inhibiting certain brain functions. And I'll talk about what I think this means from like a veil perspective, and like when you take psychedelics, how you tear apart those veils. Like, you need those veils to function in like regular life, right? If you're always seeing all the other worlds constantly, like you can't do anything at that point, right? There's a fairy and there's a mermaid over there, and don't you see the dragon in the sky? Like, you're just distracted. So that's why we have veils. Our brain does this to protect us. Now, what they did was they used RTMS to basically inhibit the left. So your left side, which your left side is also known as your more creative side. So if you're my hubby's actually left-handed, right? So any of you guys, if you're left-handed, it's funny. I have two friends of mine who are left-handed. They're like, you know what it's like being left-handed, being in a right-handed world? Like, the fridge is right-handed. Everything that you open, if you're like writing, it's all like smudging when you're writing with your left hand. So I was like, whoa, what a crazy thing. I didn't even think about that. But it's all perspective. Like, if I tried to use my left hand for many things, I've been trying to practice, but just think about that for a second, how your left side and your right side operate and how they communicate with each other. So they inhibit the left medial, middle, frontal region in healthy individuals. When they did this, they observed significant psi effects. I don't know how they modeled that. I'll get to that in just a second. But the study reveals that individuals with neurological or RTMS-induced frontal lesions show enhanced mind-matter interaction abilities. So I'm like, levitation? Is that what you're saying? If you, yeah, so it's crazy. I need to look more into this study. I think I grabbed the PubMed article because remember I took psychology in university, so I'm all about like, give me your 3 sources of research before you make any conclusions, right? But always, I love to leave some space there for the unexplained, right? I think I differ, and that's why I couldn't do just hard, straight scientific research because there's so much there that, like even the TMS, if you look into it, which I have and we'll show you, they don't know why it works. We'll get into that in a second. So the study reveals that individuals with neurological or RTMS-induced frontal lesions show enhanced mind-matter interaction abilities. Mind-matter interaction abilities. I'm going to take that as like a term because, you know, in a world where we have so many like templated sayings and everything that, I like that way of explaining it. Mind-matter interaction abilities. So this research offers a new perspective on how the brain may suppress innate, so each of us having innate psi abilities, potentially revolutionizing our understanding of this elusive phenomena. So key facts of this study: the study hypothesizes that the human brain actually acts as like a filter which suppresses natural psi abilities, which, as I told you, like many of the superheroes, like Jean Grey, for example, she activates her powers when because it comes from empathy, she's linked to her best friend. I think they're like 8 or 9 years old, and they're in a car accident, and her best friend dies, but she's psychically linked to her as this happens. So Jean Grey psychically goes through the death experience, but from an empathetic perspective, feeling it through another person. And I feel this like when I watch movies. I'm like such an easy cry to movies. Like I cried during Pokemon, the first movie, and like many, many other movies. Even Crisis on Infinite Earths, when Supergirl makes her ultimate sacrifice, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm crying. Because of, I just feel it. I can go into that place of like, I know what that feels like because I've gone through something that feels that way. And when you can have that empathy for others and realize there is no separation between us and human family, we have a shared human experience, right? That is like psychic, right? This one mind that you can tap into where you can feel where the world is at. But translating that and turning that into like normal human speak to talk about it, and also like, what do you do about it? Can you change the future, right? That's the thing. I am Jean Grey, Omega level psychic, classic from back in the day, in the 80s. I don't have my head shield on today. I'm working on creating one. So the key fact number 2 is that the RTMS, oh my gosh, I need to remember what that's called. Transcranial? Yeah, transcranial magnetic stimulation in the left medial frontal region led to significant psi effects. So remember, they're inducing lesions. It's almost like you're inducing brain damage in order to have psychic abilities. It's a weird thing. Oh, Dad's home. Go get him. Go get him. Yay. Okay. And then number 3, this research could fundamentally change how psi phenomena are understood and studied. And to just define psi, because I feel like we use a lot, like, well, not we, because I don't consider myself as part of the New Age community. I just have my own perspective on all of this kind of stuff. And I welcome all of you guys too. I don't subscribe to being anything. I'm just me. And I just read things and research things that I find interesting, and I just put them together in a way that I'm like, that makes sense. So I looked into all this stuff because of Jean Grey, because she's also, because of her abilities, she's a very good host for the Phoenix Force, right? And there's true power that comes from that. And this idea of, I was looking into the creators of Jean Grey, and they were saying how when she was Marvel Girl, she was like the weakest member of the original X-Men, right? Like you had Iceman, Cyclops, oh my gosh, Angel, Beast, and Jean, and she was considered weak. But then after the Phoenix intervention, she became the most powerful one, right? This idea of potential that Professor X himself even blunted, just because it's a lot to deal with, right? And I think that's something you can kind of take to your own experiences when it comes to, like, would you want to know the future? Like, would you want to know when certain things were going to happen? Especially if you felt like you were powerless to change it. Now, we can get into that kind of stuff with time travel a little later, because Jean Grey actually has a daughter named Rachel Summers, who is from the future, and she comes into the past to teach the ethics of time travel. And I think that's a good segue into this, where I'm going to define psi abilities. And psi, in this case, it's a phenomenon that includes, but it's funny, when you define psi abilities, there's defining it based on like the abilities you can do, but it's not limited to this, right? So psi is a phenomenon that includes telepathy, which is mind-mind connection, right? Clairvoyance, which is considered the perception of distant objects or events. So this idea of like remote viewing, I think, falls under clairvoyance. It's a version of it, I think. I don't have that. I don't really see things in that way. I more like feel things, and it's been a lot of me just trying to interpret what that is. But perception can be more than vision, though. I'll leave that there. Precognition, which is perception of future events, and mind-matter interactions, which is psychokinesis. Now, the mind-matter interactions, the psychokinesis, or I guess telekinesis is another way of doing it. So like mind to matter, mind to body. I look at even working out as a version of that, right? Your mind to muscle connection when you're lifting weights, and then that stimulates muscles to actually grow. But it all comes first from a neurological impulse. So if you unpack all of that and then think about like, oh, now I'm going to target it or amplify it, and that's what Cerebro is in X-Men, right? You have your own base psychic powers and you use tech to amplify it. So there's something to that with like tuning forks and speakers and other tech that we have in order to work with sound or frequencies in all dimensions, right? So there are several studies that discuss the empirical evidence for psi, including arguments against their existence. There's a lot of like, well, this doesn't exist, but there's so much that's not explained. I don't know why we can't. I don't think you can say that it doesn't exist, right? There's so many things that we create that are like mind forms that, yeah, anyways, like it's just saying like your imagination doesn't exist. So there are several studies that discuss the empirical evidence for psi, including arguments against their existence as their effects are small and hard to replicate under controlled experimental conditions. Now, to address this phenomenon, Dr. Morris Freeman's team, I don't know who that is, but I guess that's who conducted this study, supported by the BIAL Foundation, I think that's brain, I forget what that stands for, has developed a novel, so it's a model, remember everything's a model, has developed a novel neurobiological model based upon the concept that the brain may act as a psi inhibitory filter, which this goes back to my own hypothesis that when you take psychedelics, you're removing a lot of these filters, and so you have a lot more of like a raw interaction with source, with the main power of what this cosmos is. But it's like a matter of like, if you get too much at a time, it can be very overwhelming. And that's where, you know, having psychic hygiene, being aware of like the different frequencies that are around, because it's all agnostic. It's not all good and not all bad. It's about how you are, how you wield it, right? Thanks, Papa Dave. Thanks for that. Okay, we're talking about psi abilities as Jean Grey, and I'm quoting some real life studies. So let's see here. Yes. So in other words, humans may have innate psi abilities that are suppressed. So we have natural abilities that our own brain to function in this world. it's suppressed so that you can function, right? So humans may have innate psi abilities that are suppressed by this frontal lobe filter. To test this hypothesis, he and his colleagues used repetitive transcranial magnetic stimulation, when I told you guys that RTMS, and we're going to go into that technology in just a second, to induce reversible brain lesions. What a crazy thing. They use this to create brain lesions in order to activate psi abilities. What a thing. But it's reversible brain lesions. How do they know it's reversible? Let me put that up. That's another note to me. Hey, babe. Just activating psychic powers, that's all. Where are we? Oh, yes. They used repetitive transcranial magnetic stimulation to induce reversible brain lesions in the left medial middle frontal region in healthy participants. In an article that was published online ahead of print in the scientific journal called Cortex, called Enhanced Mind-Matter Interactions. I have this study. I downloaded it. And so in the cosmic room, or rather my Discord server, I'm going to have some areas there for, like, if you feel like you have psychic abilities, it's going to make a circle for that. Circle for psychic abilities, or like different practices or exercises. Let's put it that way. Different exercises to help strengthen your psychic abilities if you feel that you have a resonance of something. Didn't hurt. I bet they did, Papa Dave. You know, like back when LSD was a thing, before LSD was made illegal, there was a lot more studies with that. There was, of course, nefarious stuff going on, but remember, power is power. It's how it's wielded. Like a sword in different hands can do different things, right? Same thing with a pen, same thing with any sort of tool, right? I think that's the big message of 2001: A Space Odyssey. When the monolith comes, it's like how we evolve and how we leverage whatever power is exposed to us. So I do believe, 100% Papa Dave. And I think that the great powers that aren't know that human beings are naturally psychic and naturally have these abilities. And that's why things are the way they are, right? Like whenever you do like a search of it, like I looked up, like, first of all, like psychic abilities and electromagnetic radiation. Is there a connection? Because I was like, is there a way for, because my thoughts are that because of the extra noise in our world right now, whether it's like satellite frequencies or Wi-Fi frequencies or cell phone towers or all this stuff, that's all extra stuff in the airwaves, right? So if you're trying to like focus in on like a particular frequency, like let's say like some future frequency or a strand of time, or you're trying to do anything, right? You're trying to levitate something, so you're trying to focus your brain power, but all these other distractions are there. I think it would probably interfere. That would be my hypothesis. How does a puppy stop a live stream? They hit the pause button. That's very cute, Paul. Thank you for that dad joke. I appreciate it. And note, the universe, the cosmos, has a wicked sense of humor. And so I think it's the level of, when we approach any of this stuff, even though it's all like scientific and stuff, there's a lot more fun to be had when you learn, right? That's why gamification is great when it comes to learning anything. Let's see. So they induced reversible brain lesions. So you're actually damaging the brain in order to activate psychic abilities. Interesting. Let's see here. Enhanced mind-matter interactions following RTMS-induced frontal lobe inhibition. Dr. Friedman and the researchers found a significant side effect following RTMS inhibition on the left medial. There's an area in the brain maybe too that you could kind of look at that is like a home for more psychic abilities. But it's related to the limbic system, so let's put a bookmark in that too. So healthy participants with reversible RTMS-induced lesions affecting the left medial front, oh my gosh, that's a big mouthful to say. The left medial middle front region of the brain showed larger effects on a mind-matter interaction task compared to healthy participants without the RTMS-induced lesions. I wonder what the mind-matter interaction tasks were. I'd have to look at the research study itself to see what that was. These findings support the concept that the brain serves as a filter to block side effects. So remember, this is all just a research study and it is all hypothesis, right? So it's a matter of realizing that that is science, right? You have a hypothesis, you're like, I think this is the way this works. So you create a study and you test it. And many different scientists, all of us on this planet Earth, we can have our own little thought experiments, science experiments where we like, I wonder if on a full moon I'm more likely to be able to levitate something. Simple, like that. Doesn't have to hurt anybody, doesn't have to be crazy. You can just set parameters and study it so that you can be like, oh, something happened, and perhaps if I adjusted these other things, something even stronger may happen. Well, you have to ask the question first, right? Let's see here. This study confirmed our hypothesis, says Dr. Friedman, head of the Division of Neurology at Baycrest, adding that individuals with neurological or reversible RTMS-induced frontal lesions may represent a useful group for detection and replication of this phenomenon. For Dr. Friedman, these findings are potentially transformative for the way we view interactions between the brain and seemingly random events, and may significantly advance research in the area of psi, helping to bring this phenomenon into the realm of mainstream science. I don't really care about mainstream science at this point these days. I feel like there's a lot. I worked in the hospital at UHN here in diabetes for a long time, and there's so much politics as it comes to grant funding and like who gets credit for stuff when it comes to that kind of stuff too. So I feel like, oh, thank you. I think we have to break apart some of these old models. Like we've kept it, like Papa Dave, like talking about the studies back in the 70s. Why don't we have abilities yet then? If we've been studying this for like literally what, like 50 years? Have we not made any more advancements when it comes to that? And RTMS, which is actually let's get into that, because I was like, what is RTMS? It sounds so scary at first, right? You're like, you put this, I think I have a picture of it. It's basically like a magnetic pulse. So electromagnetic radiation, let's define that first, because that also sounds scary, but it's not like Chernobyl or anything. Although that's also related. I'm going to just get a definition of it. Wiki, let's do this. Let's just go to Britannica. Electromagnetic radiation in classical physics, the flow of energy at the universal speed of light. What the heck? That's not a good definition. Okay, here. I guess it's because electromagnetic radiation, depending on what theory you're looking at, may have a different definition. Okay, well, let's look at it from quantum theory. Of course we can. Psychic abilities unite. Okay, so in terms of the modern quantum theory, electromagnetic radiation is the flow of photons, also called light quanta. Ooh, I like that. Light quanta through space. So that's what electromagnetic, it's the idea of photons through space, the flow of it. Photons are packets of light, or packets of energy that always move with the universal speed of light. The symbol H is Planck's constant, while the value of V is the same of that of the frequency of the electromagnetic wave of classical theory. Oh my goodness, I don't want to talk about that from that perspective. I want to talk about, let's see here. This is better. I did a project actually on electromagnetic radiation when I was 14 in grade 8, and I was actually ignored by the provincial science fair. They thought it was theoretical. And now look, years later, 20 years later, okay, more than 20 years later now actually. So electromagnetic radiation, or EM radiation, is a fundamental form of energy that surrounds us everywhere, from the microwaves that heat our food to the radio waves that bring us music and news. In this article, we'll explore electromagnetic radiation, its nature, theory, properties, and wide range of forms it takes. I hope I made that sound interesting. So electromagnetic radiation, I have a bit of like a diagram here of the oscillation wavelengths and how it looks like, because it's invisible, right? My project was actually called Invisible Pollution, because what I had done was I had a little box, because my father was a prof in comp sci, so I had a lot of computers growing up, far more than any of my friends in the 90s. And my dad didn't want me sitting really close to screens because he's like, oh, the radiation. I'm like, okay. So I had this little box to detect it. And so when I did my school project, I went out to the power lines in frickin' November and took readings of the electromagnetic frequencies that the power lines were giving off, just to kind of give a recommendation that perhaps we shouldn't have residential areas really close to these kinds of frequencies, because we don't know the impact on our human mind over time. That's all. Just more studies need to be done. We just need to know. We don't know what we don't know, and I think that's the first step of anything, right? So electromagnetic radiation can be defined, yes, as a form of energy that is generated when electrically charged particles move through a matter or a vacuum. Alternatively, it can also be produced by oscillating magnetic and electric disturbances. So let's see here. Let's delve deeper into the key aspects of electromagnetic radiation. So energy from charged particles. Electromagnetic radiation is generated when electrically charged particles, such as electrons, move through a medium or empty space. These particles carry energy as they travel, creating a wave-like pattern of electric and magnetic fields. So, yeah, very cool. Oh, good, Craig. I'm glad. This is like, welcome to learning about your psychic abilities and how we can even leverage the fact that we also give off electromagnetic radiation, right? Everything, like, when you think about radiation, we're like, the radiation, and you think that you're going to, like, the radioactive spider, and now I'm the Spider-Man, right? It's just a way, it's a model, right? It's a way of describing energy, right? And everything is flow and energy and frequency, and so it's a matter of electrically charged particles, as they move through space, are going to give off an energy, and they're going to do this in a wave pattern. Electric and magnetic fields. So electromagnetic radiation consists of an electric and magnetic field. These fields are innately connected and perpendicular to each other. Perpendicular, sis. This is parallel. This is perpendicular. With a 90-degree angle. That's funny. So there's the electric field and the magnetic field. And I do think our key to doing flying cars is leveraging the magnetic field. Like magnetics to anything, I feel like we talk about like technology, all stuff, and like, yeah, but the magnetics of our earth and how different crystals repel or attract, leveraging those types of properties are ways that we can build things as well, right? Let's see here. So diverse forms of electromagnetic radiation. Electromagnetic radiation encompasses a vast spectrum of energy, ranging from low energy radio waves to high energy gamma rays. Ooh, the gamma rays are who made the Hulk, right? Don't go near gamma rays, guys. We don't know how to deal with that yet. We don't know how to make them give us superpowers just yet. Let's see here. Some common forms of electromagnetic radiation include microwaves, television waves, radio waves, infrared radiation, visible light itself has radiation, right? Ultraviolet radiation, X-rays, and gamma rays. Each form has different wavelengths, right, and energy levels, resulting in unique properties and applications. So when we're talking about electromagnetic radiation, everything that has electrons and charged particles gives off radiation. And it's like having this aura or this field around you and how that impacts with each other. Like no different how, like, you know, back in the day you take balloons, you like rub it against your hair and it creates static electricity, and you could stick that balloon onto the wall. It's all of these kinds of properties that innately exist, and we can call that magical, but it's also just being aware of the very magical world that we actually live in, right? Because physics is theoretical. It's all theorems. I had he was a teacher actually. I went to St. Mary's Academy in in Winnipeg, and I had a physics teacher who was Australian, and I remember him always saying to us, I did not like that class. I did not like physics. But he was like, this is not mathematics. This is physics. I'm like, meaning it's just made up? Meaning you just have theories, right? Because even if you think about, I took this book out on metaphysics, and they talk about how like light is a constant as opposed to the observer. So time is actually a changeable variant, considering that light is constant. But do we know that light is constant? That's an interesting like assumption that we're making when it comes to when you're creating these formulas. And I think the lesson of the fool is that, you know, to have the courage to play the fool, that even though we know all of these things, like no different than when Galileo discovered the telescope and was like, well, wait a minute, perhaps the world, like the sun does not revolve around us, perhaps we revolve around the sun, and then like burned him for that kind of thing, right? Because this idea of being able to break through a model and realize that like many models can exist and all still be true, right? And anyways, I'll put a little bookmark there for a second. And the last thing here in terms of key aspects of electromagnetic radiation is this concept of transverse waves. So electromagnetic radiation travels as transverse waves, meaning that the oscillations occur perpendicular to the direction of the wave propagation. This characteristic allows for electromagnetic radiation to traverse space, enable it to propagate through a vacuum, unlike other types of waves. What? That's crazy. So you're able to get electromagnetic radiation in a vacuum. I need to look into that a little bit more. I don't quite understand that. I need to put that somewhere to the sense. Why are we doing science? Because I'm trying to figure out psychic ability. So if you have just joined us live, I'm Jean Grey, Omega level mutant. Hi, how's it going? I'm here. I'm interested in you guys activating your psychic abilities. And so Jean, why are we doing science? Bella, it's because I'm that nerdy girl who wants you guys to all activate. And this is just some background into electromagnetic radiation, just because, you know, when you hear science articles, when you hear them on the news, it's always like, this rogue needs help? Oh my gosh, I love Rogue. My bestie's Rogue. We actually have a little plan coming up to do a little thing with Rogue and Jean. Also, later on today, you guys, I finished sewing my my Ms. Marvel outfit. So, a fun little lightning bolt, right? So I'm gonna have Ms. Marvel join us later on today. I have the whole outfit ready. I'm so excited to bring Carol Danvers back to life, or at least that version of her, which seems to be like the Miss Marvel we have now is not the same one from the 80s when I grew up. So I'm gonna bring that out. Remy or Scott. I love Gambit. I had the biggest crush on Gambit. Oh my gosh. Jean shouldn't say that. I mean, I love Scott. I do think, Bella, though, that Jean Grey and Scott are kind of like, you know, high school sweetheart or your first love. And you're always going to love your first love in a very special, innocent kind of way, even though you grow up and you become, I don't want to say you become a new person, but you evolve and grow, and you'll always love that first love, but you know, like, so you're very sweet. It's like an anime, you know, like always have these love triangles. And I never liked the love triangles. I hated this idea of like guys fighting over a girl or girls fighting over a guy. Like Emma Frost and Jean, they probably would have otherwise been friends, but you're fighting over Cyclops, right? No worries, Swifty. I'll make sure to catch you up to speed. So actually, I was just going over electromagnetic radiation just to give you guys a definition. Remy belongs to Rogue. Remy and Rogue forever. I used to love Rogue, that relationship. Like, I mean, I have a thing, I loved Shakespeare, right? So something about tragic love stories, like this idea that like Remy and Rogue, like they love each other, but they can never touch, they can never kiss. Except I remember watching, and an X-Men animated episode. I need to find it, where like Rogue loses her powers, so she gets to like kiss Remy, and my heart. But yeah, I agree with you, Bella. So beautiful together. We need to. Do you do cosplay, Bella? Do you do Rogue? Could we find you a Remy? That's what I mean, though, you guys. It's about playing into these characters. These characters, they got that bond, not physical love, and that is a wonderful way to talk about things like psychic abilities and electromagnetic radiation and these things that like you can't see, right? Like that Pocahontas song, like, can you paint with all the colors of the wind? All this, like, you know the wind is there because you feel it. You cannot see it, but you can see it because of the effect that the wind has on other things. And so the same thing goes with psychic abilities. I love comic books a lot and animated stuff a lot because when you illustrate the psychic abilities, it doesn't come off as cheesy, because in live action, which is this right now, I don't think my psychic abilities are going to look like bright pink and neon, even though maybe they could, right? It may look like something we have never seen before, right? We are only going to do our very best to represent it, which is what all symbols are, right? You can have a heart to represent love, but love, of course, is more than what any symbol or even any word can do. Like French, like Remy being, New Orleans, that whole French attribute, like French has like l'amour, je t'aime, j'adore. You have all these different words to describe love, and in English you have like, well, I love coffee, and I love you, and I love my cat, right? It's just all the same. I got nothing on the Batman family. 100% Bella. The X-Men, though, that's the beauty of the different dynamics of these different fantastical superhero teams, is that for some weird reason, even though it seems like that's made up and that's fantasy, it feels so true, right? It feels so, I vibe with that. Like, I know what it's like, right? To be, let's say, like Rogue and Remy's situation, to feel like you're in love with someone, but you can't be with them for whatever reason, right? And what that feels like, what you have to do, and or to love in spite of it, right? That kind of thing. So bringing this back to psychic abilities, let's go into, I found this article that goes into 37 psychic abilities and powers with explanations. Oh, thanks, Mr. Legendary. What a great superhero name, Mr. Legendary. We should put that in the book. So I'm gonna list out some psychic abilities, and you guys let me know if you feel like you have any of these, right? And in the follow-up video of this, when I post it, I'll have these listed out. Just because I feel like we say psi abilities, and it's all just like psychic, but I'm like, they're all different. And you may be very good, let's say a very talented clairvoyant, but you don't do, like, you can't do mind control. Or maybe you can do mind control, but you can't walk through walls or levitate. You can't do telekinesis. So, or maybe you can, you just have to activate that part of your power later. Or maybe some things are a secondary mutation, right? So, but I don't know this about you. You know this about you. Now, oftentimes, I think we've all been there with all the naysayers of like, well, you can't do that. Well, of course, someone who can't do it is going to tell you that you can't do it. Like, come on. But I'm going to tell you I can do it. So I'm pretty sure you guys can do it too. It just takes a little practice. Oh, I'm loving you guys like are vibing with what I'm saying right now. Phantom Fox. Yeah, so the more that we share our spooky stories, right? And have witnesses and people being like, you know what? I felt that too. Or like just practicing with each other. We, it's just like working out, like working on a muscle. You strengthen it and you get better at it, right? Telekinesis is objects, mind matter. But let's go into the 37 powers. I'm sure there's probably more than this, but I'm taking this from scireading.com. Well, see, I just like it because it's a nice little definition, and I hadn't heard of some of these things. I just may have called them something else. So this is in alphabetical order, and you guys shout out in the chat if you have ever felt this or think that you're interested in it. Because I feel like also just being interested in something is a level of resonance to certain things. Like some people like don't care about this stuff, right? Like, I don't know why you care about wanting to activate your psychic abilities. Like, well, maybe it's because you're not psychic. I don't know. So let's start. Number 1, animal telepathy. I think I have this. Like, I remember when I was a kid, the biggest number 1 superpower I wanted that Shira had was to be able to talk to animals. And speaking to animals, I feel like is more than just like hearing things in your head, but I'll put it there. So imagine possessing the remarkable gift to connect mentally with animals. Animal telepathy is not just a psychic ability, it is a bridge of empathy and understanding between humans and the animal kingdom. And through this power, one can perceive the thoughts and emotions of animals, establishing a profound bond. Makes sense. I think that many of us have this with our fur baby children as well. You can just feel them, they can feel you. There's more than just like what is being said or what's being borked at the time. Number 2, astral projection or mental projection. That is the ability to travel beyond the physical body. Astral projection is like unlocking a secret door within yourself, leading to incredible journeys across different realms or dimensions, and this idea of the boundless nature of the human spirit, offering a glimpse into the mysteries of existence and potential that lies within our consciousness. There's also, I know what this. Oh, atmokinesis. This is like storm. Atmokinesis, one holds the awe-inspiring ability to influence weather patterns. This remarkable power reflects a deep connection with the natural world, allowing one to call upon the elements. Oh yeah, that's a storm power, baby. From summoning the rain to clearing skies. Let me know if you have this power, you guys. We could really use it. It symbolizes a harmonious balance with the Earth's rhythms and an understanding of nature's delicate dance. Aura reading. Number 4. This gift allows one to perceive the energy fields surrounding people, animals, and even objects. Aura reading is like having a window into the soul, revealing emotions, thoughts, and spiritual well-being. It's a tool for deeper empathy. So this idea of like, even like what I was saying, electromagnetic frequency, some people I believe can see these kinds of things as light, or you can actually see something around people. That's not my gift, but I do know I have some friends who can see auras in that kind of way. Automatic writing, I do this a lot. When you just write and just something comes to you, that's why I love writing all my books at like 3 a.m. and just letting things come to me. Imagine channeling wisdom from higher realms or the subconscious mind through the simple art of writing. Automatic writing is a conduit for messages beyond our everyday comprehension, offering guidance, creativity, and profound insights. It's a testament to the mind's hidden depths and the mysteries that lie within. Automatic writing. Yeah, Kiwi? Did it work? I find it cool to just even write it and like not look at it for a bit and then come back to it later. It's like talking to yourself through time. Sometimes I've written some things down, and I'm glad I did, right? Because sometimes like memories or your dreams, right? You wake up, you're like, oh, what a crazy dream. I'll for sure remember it because it was so vivid. And then you don't write it down, right? And then you like 2 hours pass, and you're like, wait a minute, what was that? So I recommend all of you guys, if you have dreams or anything like that, just write it down, like sketch it out, doodle something, just because that is a way of bringing that mindscape into the real world, right? Regardless if you can draw or if you can write or any of that kind of stuff. Atman cosplay. I can't remember my dreams. Do you mean you can't remember them when you first wake up? Because I have found sometimes, let's say like a week will pass and then I'll wake up and I'll kind of remember the dream I had the night before, but then I'll have a remembrance of a dream from like a week ago, right? So yes, Jean Grey, right? Yeah, pad of paper next to your bed. Yeah, and just like wake up and just whatever comes to you, or even just like scrawling symbols. And you're like, that probably doesn't mean anything. And then you like look at it later, like, wait a minute, that was a message from me, that kind of thing. So I welcome you guys to just have those thought experiments. And like I tell you, like, what's the worst thing that could happen? You may just find like something like amazing, right? Or like you write down numbers and like that's the lottery numbers, right? Or like the interesting synchronicities of that and how that's all mapped out, I don't know. I think that's the science part to the woo-woo, right? That's the more where Saturn plays a little bit more with Neptune. This idea of like, okay, we have these very intuitive, I'm like, because I'm friends with a lot of artists, right? I'm friends with a lot of dancers and like painters and like, so I get it. Like you live in this world of like magic, but I'm also a project manager where it's like, okay, what is done? When is done? And like just harnessing that power and having some focus to it. I forget my dreams quickly, unfortunately. And in cosplay, maybe you're not supposed to remember them, right? Because I do think, I don't know if you guys agree with this, but like each time you go to sleep and dream, it's not the same in the sense of some dreams, you're just working out what you did that day, right? It's, let's call it like local dreams, where you've created scenarios in your head and you're creating characters in your head to work out anything that you've learned in that day. Other dreams are like what I talked about earlier, like astral projection, like you're traveling, you're dream traveling, right? I think if your dreams include, usually if they include like an airport or a train station, or like you're in a house and you're like entering another room, symbolically in your dream, that also means on a higher level, you're traversing a plane. Now, I feel like if you are doing that in those dream planes, sometimes you're not allowed to remember when you come back to this world, right? Because how should I put this? It's like writing a book and like pretending to yourself, like, I don't know what's about to happen, but I need to do these other things to prepare for when you naturally hit the certain point. So, and I tell people too, what's the difference between a dream and a memory? Really nothing. Sometimes I ask my sister this. I get her to confirm with me. I'm like, did I dream that? Or did that actually happen to us when we were kids? Because I can't tell the difference sometimes when I sift through my memories, right? So I do have like diary entries from when I was like younger, which I revisit, and it's just a wonderful way to like learn yourself, right? So automatic writing, this idea of just like writing and seeing what comes out of it. And I forget all my dreams. You know, I think that also has something to do with the electromagnetic radiation, right? Like there might be a level of like, because of like the fog in our head, that perhaps that like your dream body is doing things and you're coming back here. And as I said, like you will remember them when you need to. And that's where I think the deja vu feeling comes into play, where you're like, you do something like, did I dream this? Did this already happen? Like that kind of stuff happens to me all the time. Okay, so biolocation, number 6. Biolocation is the astonishing ability to be present in 2 places at once. Wow. I've never heard of this before. Have you guys heard of this? So it defies the conventional understanding of space and time, symbolizing the limitless potential of human consciousness. This gift offers a glimpse into, okay, I don't know, like, do they mean actual people, or do they mean that your consciousness is in 2 places at once? Put a note in that. Number 7, channeling. Channeling is a powerful means of communication with higher beings, spirits, or universal consciousness. It's like having a direct line or tether to a vast unseen world of knowledge and wisdom. Next, I think I have this. Well, no, I don't have this. My friend has this. Clairvoyance. So clairvoyance involves the unique ability to perceive smells not present in the physical environment. Like you're getting a smell like from the other world. I feel like I sometimes get this because your scent, your olfactory part of your brain is very much connected to your memories, right? So that's why certain scents, like your like hair shampoo, or like, you know, stealing your boyfriend's hoodie because of the smell, that love that. There's just certain smells that activate certain memories. And there's this, I think, to those who have this ability, you're probably gonna be able to smell things from another world from a memory perspective, right? I like that. Clairaudience. Clairaudience is the extraordinary ability to hear sounds or voices beyond the reach of normal perception. So hearing things, ringing in your ears, like having an internal radio tuned to frequencies unknown to the typical ear. I get ringing in my ears sometimes. I'd like start and then stop, and then it depends whether it's on my right or my left side. For a moment I was just like, I just listened to my headphones too loud, but it's just funny. Yeah, you do too, Swifty. Yeah, there's something to it. Note down when you get that ringing, how long it lasts. Um, yeah, it's, or it's like almost like a way of dealing with that, not dealing with it, a way of interpreting it I've found is like sifting through the thoughts you're having or the thought you had when it triggered the ringing. Because it's like thinking about like you thought something and it like hit on something and it's like feeding back. Oh, very interesting, Swifty. Have you always heard that? Or was it something that was triggered? Or I find too, depending on where you are, like certain places you may pick up, like you're like a radio antenna and you're picking up on certain frequencies in certain places. Something like that. That's cool though. There we go. It's about honing that and like interpreting what that ringing could be. So that's clairaudience. Now they've got clairvoyance. Clairvoyance is the power to see beyond the physical eyes, to witness events, objects, or people not present in the immediate environment. It's like having a third eye that glimpses the future, past, or across great distances. This ability offers a broader perspective of the world, breaking the boundaries of time and space, and providing profound insight into the interconnectedness of all things. I don't have this. I don't feel like. I don't see things. I have to draw it, I feel like, for me. Over the last few years, yeah, that I think, me too, actually. There might be something with your astrology, Swifty. Like sometimes, like with the cosmos as they are right now, like based on your birth chart, you're going to end up with a certain aspect. Like for example, if you were born on like a 5 or a 0, so like 1985, 1990, 1975, 1965, 1960, when you hit a certain point, you're going to end up with an aspect of Pluto square Pluto. And so this is a very unique, challenging aspect, but if you are born with that, I find that when you hit like your 40th birthday or certain times when that is activated, something is going, like something shifts or changes. And so it's, I think, something to look at. Yeah, and travel after. Yeah, so it's all about just identifying which ones are yours and like what is yours, and realizing that just because you don't necessarily interface with that magical world in the same way as someone else doesn't mean that you're not psychic, right? So I feel like there's a lot of there are very many good tarot readers out there, astrology people. There are very many people who do the work, right? I do think there's a level of just like finding a personal trainer or a coach for you personally, where you're trying to find guidance is going to be the same, like where your psychic abilities interface with that other individual's psychic abilities as well. Like I have friends of mine who, yeah, I have some more guests coming up when it comes to that kind of stuff, where we can kind of talk about this psychic stuff in a real way, and maybe it can happen live, who knows. Oh yeah, oh, hey, new improved man. So next, after clairvoyance, we have clairsentience, and I feel like I have this. It's clairsentience is the exquisite gift of feeling deeply beyond the physical senses, like the hairs on the back of your neck, or like I get full body tingles when I say certain things. I'm like, whoa, okay, I'm on there. Like I got it just right now. Hey, voice of one. When I watch only with left eye, is different perspective. Kiwi, that's cool. That's cool. So do you think, Kiwi, would it be worth having something like, you know, have my Green Lantern, like she has like that monocle on her left eye to like almost enhance that ability in that one eye? Or even, looking at the difference, kind of like interfacing, like, okay, this is like standard sober reality, this is like magical reality, and then like mapping one on top of the other in the, I'm the old young man. Oh, 100%. Yeah. I love that, you guys. I'm glad you guys are sharing that, because even if we look at, let's look at this. Clairaudience, hearing sounds or voices beyond the reach. Anyone else is going to call that schizophrenic, right? And to some level, that's why the brain has that filter, right? So you don't hear all these voices. You don't see all those things. You don't hear all the multidimensionals that we're in right now, right? Because we're here right now in this perspective. Because I put it this way, when I do cosplay, right? I do Batgirl, I do Supergirl, I do Jean Grey, I do Psylocke. But I can't be all those characters at this exact right moment in time. I'm Jean right now, right? So, but I'm also Psylocke, and I'm also Kara Zor-El, and I'm also Rachel Z, right? So I love fiction for being able to have that model of the multidimensional beings that we are. And so I feel love in the left eye. Oh, I love that. And it's not all the voices, only one. It's possible to, like, different guides or different, let's call them teachers, or even those who have left this realm into the next realm, they're going to have messages for you. And you are going to be tuned to that frequency, right? You're going to, just like a radio being tuned to a particular frequency and getting a message, it's a matter of that. Oh, yeah. Me either. I want to play as Jean Grey in Marvel Rivals. My favorite person to play right now is Sue Storm, actually, in Rivals. Sue Storm's awesome, by the way. Okay. Clairsentience. We also have cryokinesis. It's the captivating... I hope it was an AI that wrote this. Cryokinesis is the power to manipulate ice and cold. So, you know, Iceman, right? Curse. The ability to cast a curse is a solemn and potent power. So this idea of cursing, you guys, honestly, all of us, myself included, every single individual on this planet need to realize that your words have power. If you say something out to the universe and you invoke it and you say it and you really mean it, be aware of how powerful that truly is. And if you, let's say something that you didn't mean to say, take it back. Close the portal. It's so steeped in responsibility. That's why, like, I don't deal with hexes. I don't deal with any magic that is negative in that aspect, because it's very, like, it's very tricky to deal with. That's all. Manifestation. Oh, thanks, Cutie. Yeah, but that being said, though, I'm sure you guys have all felt like you have been cursed on some level, or like, because when people say psychic attacks, it's not like, you know, some sorceress witch lady is coming at you and like pointing a finger at you. Like, although I'm sure that probably happens too, but I just mean, like, anytime anyone gossips about you, anytime anyone's speaking untruths or like giving you like this evil eye for like no effing reason, that's a psychic attack. So regardless if people are aware that they have this power to curse, it can still happen. So I recommend all of you, like, put up your psychic shields. Put, like, what if it's violet, if it's baby blue. I have like a crystal quartz shield that I put up around me when I go out into the grocery store because it's too much. Higher energy. Oh wow, in a video, crazy. It censored your comment. I can't uncensor it, New Improved Man, but I've read it. I will take a look. And Wolfie just barged in. Okay, so next, divination, and I talk about divination a lot. It's this idea of gaining insight into the unknown using various tools and techniques. It's a bridge between the seen and unseen worlds. And divination, when you do tarot readings, when you use a pendulum, even if I were to like pick up a book, or when I freestyle dance, when hubby's DJing and it's a freestyle set, that's divination. You don't know exactly where you're going to go, but you're going to let the forces that be, the flow, guide you, right? Oh my gosh. That's a great, Pedro, that's great. Hallowed, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can say that. Halcyonic heroine, henceforth then. I like henceforth. Oh, nice. And rapping is poetry, right? The poets in all of us need to come out. And I wanted to be a poet growing up, but I'm like, what am I going to do with that? It's like the bard in D&D. Like, you're like, I'm just here to tell the story and play the guitar. Okay, next. So divination. I do think divination, it's interesting that this is laid out as a psychic ability. I feel like it's just your personal connection to the divine, whatever that looks like. And you can have many different tools by which to... Voice of One, you just reached level 6 in the team. That's pretty sweet. So I have my Marvel cards here, right? So there's a way, let's divinate right now with it. Who should I talk about later? Well, those don't count because those are that. The Infinity Gauntlet came up. Bad shuffle, Rachel. Here we go. This. My cards where it's like +3 courage came up. I wanted to pick up a person. See? +3 courage. That's good. That's some Captain Marvel kudos there, I think. As well as intelligence. So who's this? The Hulk. That's who showed up. Okay, so I love that because we were talking about gamma rays. So that's divination. Like, all right, I don't know who I want to talk about. Let me just see who comes up first, right? Because you're like, I can't decide. Like, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a tiger by the toe. If he hollers, let him go. Eeny, miny, mo. And so just this idea of randomness not being random and how nature seems to act chaotic when it's not quite chaotic. If you look at things from an overall eagle eye view, there is more order to it, right? Than we're able to see so close to it, right? Okay, so let me see here. Let me get through all the psychic abilities, and then we'll wrap it, and then we'll be back on a little later. So, ergokinesis. Am I saying that? Ergokinesis is the remarkable ability to manipulate energy itself. Babe, that's your power then. Ergokinesis. Ergo. Because if you guys could have a superpower, would it be psychic in nature, or would you want something a bit more kinetic, like super strength, or to, because you could, I need to do that another day, like, it's like lay out all the different powers in terms of category, right? Like the Supes, for example, Superman and Supergirl, it's a known thing that they are very vulnerable to magic, which is why Zatanna and Constantine give backup for that. In the Marvel universe, the psychic folks and the magic folks, there's some interconnection there, but Jean almost looks at, there's a scene in one of the comic books that I'm posting a little bit later where teenage Jean Grey refuses the Phoenix Force, and so adult ghost Jean Grey comes and speaks to her. So it's like this interesting thing of different timelines and different versions of self and how those interact with each other. I already do telekinesis. With great power comes great responsibility, Kiwi. And I mean telekinesis too, I feel like the cryokinesis as well as like pyro stuff, like Carrie, that's all entwined in that as well. So, but I think telekinesis can also be something as simple as lifting up an object with your mind, right? Who's play sick? Okay, oh, thank you. Because I'm talking about psychic powers as Jean Grey, psychic, right? So if we can play in that imagination, perhaps tomorrow, one of you guys can report back and say that you did something. I walked through a wall. Also, in X-Men, there is this idea of being able to even identify those with abilities even before they've expressed them, right? And that's what I'm hopefully doing with you guys right now. So this idea of like latent powers or latent genes that are just waiting for an activation moment, right? The first transformation is always hardest when you look at comic book stories or like Sailor Moon, where you're like, how do I do this? Just touch your heart crystal and you say moon prism power, or like whatever your invocation is. You need to figure that out. There's no manual for it. Unfortunately, we don't have a Professor X yet, unless you're out there somewhere. Okay, so Ergokinesis is the ability to manipulate energy. Hydrokinesis is the mesmerizing ability to control and manipulate water, right? Aquaman, right? Imagine guiding streams, shaping waves, or even drawing moisture from the air. I do feel like my girlfriend who's on the Dragon Warriors, she's a Cancer, so anyone with water signs, you probably have more likely to have hydrokinesis. And also your body is mostly water, so think about that as how that interfaces with the cosmos. Like the moon impacts the waves, right? So it's more than likely that the cosmos is going to affect your body on some level. Number 17, illusions. The power to create illusions is a testament to the limitless creativity of the human mind. It is the art of crafting perceptions, shaping realities that exist in the viewer's mind. And I feel like great storytellers can do this, right? When you're sitting around a campfire and you're like, I'm going to tell you all a story. I'm going to paint the images. Or like really great writers, you're just reading a book and in your own mind, you're like, oh, I am in your world right now. I love great writers who can do that. Let's see here. What is this? Anita? Oh, breath. I didn't know that's like a thing. Anita is the ability to live without food or water. I guess you're just living on light. It's a remarkable testament to the human body. So this ability of, I guess, just living on light, I suppose. Let's see here. Invisibility. Invisibility is not just the ability to become unseen. It is a symbol of moving through the world in a state of profound freedom and discretion. Interesting. I feel like invisibility is one of those powers. It's a good thing to be able to turn on and off. Because if you just become the invisible man and then you're not in that world. Like no one can see you unless you wear like a suit, I guess. I don't know if I want invisibility. Like Sue Storm's cool and all, but I don't know if I would want that power per se. Levitation. I want levitation. Levitation or transvection. That sounds fancy. Levitation symbolizes the human aspiration to rise above, both physically and spiritually. It's the ability to defy gravity, to float or fly, representing liberation from earthly constraints and the realization of our higher potentials. This power is a metaphor for transcending limitations and embracing a higher perspective on life. Well, that's an interesting metaphor. How about just actually levitating, though? That was first, Kiwi. It was defined as animal telepathy, which I feel like I have that as well. And I'm sure you know, like, talking to animals is not like my dog being like, hello, I'm your dog. Please feed me. It's more of like their eyes, their frequency, like all the unsaid stuff, how we communicate. Did I dye my hair? I wish. I've stopped dyeing my hair, thank goodness. That was very harsh on it, by the way. Let's see. So, Ergo, Hydro, where are we? We're on number 21 out of 30? How many do I have here? 37. So, it's a lot of them. I hope you guys are keeping track of how many powers you have. So, materialization. Materialization, oh, that's cool, is the ability to bring objects or entities into physical existence. It's a manifestation of the power of thought, turning the intangible into the tangible. This gift symbolizes the creative potential within us all, the ability to bring forth and actualize our deepest desires and intentions. Indeed. Next. Wait. So it's just like making something appear. Is there anyone who does that? Just like, I'm just gonna make something, make it materialize. Because, can you? Because I'm trying to think, because usually, like the law of the universe is like things are not created or destroyed, they're transmuted or transformed. So perhaps it seems like it's materializing out of nowhere, but it's really you're taking all the atoms that exist and like pulling them together to create something. I don't know. So I'll leave that there. Number 22, mediumship. I feel like that's similar to channeling, This idea of communicating with spirits or entities from other realms and being a bridge between those worlds. Number 23, mind control, the compelling ability to direct the thoughts and actions of others. So that mind frequency stuff, and I do feel like the ethics of all that is a big part of why a lot of powers haven't come online, right? I think once at a personal level we know how to behave with that power responsibly, I think more of those powers will come online, I think. Number 24, petrification. Oh, like Medusa. Petrification, the power to turn objects or beings into stone. I guess that's a specific thing. Or like molecular change, because I know of Jean Grey, like one of her big powers is that she can break things down to a molecular level and then reassemble them again, which is how I think Flash does teleportation as well. There's phytokinesis, the ability to communicate with and influence plant life. It's a deep connection with the earth and its flora, so this idea of working with like nature magic, right? Having the trees grow, that kind of stuff. In a pumpkin and called it Badusa. That's funny. Medusa, Badusa. That's funny. Prophecy, and I think dreams fall into this as well, like having prophetic dreams, right? Prophecy is the gift of foreseeing events before they occur. It is a window to the potential of future, offering guidance and warnings. This power signifies a deep connection with the cosmic flow of time and the responsibility to use this knowledge wisely, like oracles, right? This concept of seeing the future. It's not, you never get just one future, right? It's usually possibilities and potentials that are more likely to occur, I believe. But prophecy is something we can look at later, because there's a few comic books that have even prophecies about this very year, 2025. Okay, psychic empathy. Psychic empathy is the ability to feel and understand the emotions of others. It transcends mere sympathy, offering a more profound, intuitive connection that fosters understanding, compassion, and healing. This gift is a testament to the interconnectedness of all human experiences. And this psychic empathy is like Jean's tour de force, right? The main proponent by which all her other powers kind of come from. Because I love how in Marvel, at least, when you have like the mutants, there's this level of like your first mutation, like Wolverine, for example, has healing factor. And because he had that healing factor, he was able to survive the adamantium experimentation thing, right? So if he didn't have the base healing factor mutation, he wouldn't have gotten the secondary mutation. So there's kind of that, I think, as well when it comes to like a layered cake of psychic powers. Let's see here. Psychic surgery. Psychic surgery is the ability to heal only using the power of the mind. Okay. 29, pyrokinesis. I guess the antithesis to cryokinesis. You're now dealing with fire. I love fire too. Next, 30, shape-shifting and transformation. Shape-shifting is the mystical ability to alter one's physical form. It is a symbol of adaptability. So when we think of shape-shifting, we can also think of that as more than like your own bones and flesh turning, but perhaps like even this, like transformation into my different cosplays. That's a level of transformation. There's just different ways in which we are able to do that, right? Or werewolves, that too. Spiritual healing. Spiritual healing is a divine gift, transcending the physical realm to restore balance and harmony. So I wonder, like healing versus surgery, perhaps there's something a bit more kinetic about the surgery, psychic surgery versus healing, because healing can be done on others. Have I attended wizards? I've read a lot of comic books by wizards, like Alan Moore and Grant Morrison, and as well as I've read a lot of fantasy and science fiction books, right? And in all these fictional tales, right, in these worlds, they have done a lot of work to validate a lot of things, right? Like Magneto, the idea that his powers come from magnetics, or genes that come from empathy, or Wolverine, it's the healing factor in the adamantium. It's not just, these are all very well thought out, even though it's all fiction, right? There is a truth within that fiction, right? To quote Promethea, at least I'm an honest fiction. Okay. Let's see here. Telekinesis, teleportation, thoughtography, time travel, and xenoglossy. I don't know, are these things? Okay, so wait, hold on. Let me break it down here. Spiritual psychic visions, glimpses into deeper reality. That's like having visions. I don't know what the difference between that and like having, well, I guess it's between remote viewing and then just getting a flash of the future. And then telekinesis or psychokinesis, which represents the incredible ability to move objects with the mind. Teleportation, which is the astonishing ability to travel instantly to different locations. I'd like that too, actually. There's usually cost with that, I find, if you're like a teleporter. Thoughtography, which is the unique ability to imprint thoughts or images into physical mediums. I think that Dune... am I religious? I grew up very Catholic, but I now, I consider myself very spiritual. I don't ascribe to religions. I like to think of things this way. There's a difference between beauty and the beauty industry. There's a difference between being fit and the fitness industry. There's a difference between being educated and learning and the institutions of the university. So there's the difference between being spiritual and having a connection to the divine and being religious. And so I think that there's a level of that needs to come into nuance as we talk about these things. That's all. Am I astral? Perhaps. I do like that plane. Okay. Hey, Jeff, how's it going? I think that pretty much covers what I wanted to talk about today in this call. I wanted to talk about the psychic abilities and how those interface and may be impacted by electromagnetic radiation, which, you know, we think about radio waves and Wi-Fi and everything we have in our world right now. There is a lot of extra noise. And so that's why things like float tanks or like meditation, working out, going to the gym, having practices where you can go inward and just decipher what all of this means, right? Because there's this level of like grabbing the information and then interpreting it. So yeah, I think that takes care of that here in terms of what I wanted to present. I have a bunch of other stuff here as well. 5 reasons your psychic powers could be blocked. 1, avoid energy vampires. 2, don't dwell on stress. 3, nature's calling. And 4, eat well, right? 4 lights. What a great question. What is it going to take for us humans to manifest our true abilities? I'm also going to say, hi, Jeff, again. Thanks, Kiwi, for greeting him. What is it going to take? You know what it's going to take? It's going to take true knowing of yourself, of truly knowing who you are and remembering, because we all, I think, as a shared experience as human beings, have a shared amnesia to our grand galactic magical past. That's why I love Halo so much, because Halo in it, the comic books, the video game, there's this concept of human beings having a history of being galactic and far more technologically advanced. But we lost a war and we became like de-evolved and then forgot all of it. So I think there's a truth to that, right? This idea that we don't know everything. And that's the first step. Hey, no STEMmy. That's the first step of learning, of seeking out the rabbit holes, to asking the question, realizing, wait, I don't actually know that. And that's cool, right? And I think the biggest obstacle to us activating our true abilities is that you have people, so-called experts in these powers, or news anchors or politicians, telling you that they know. And they don't. It's clear that they don't. But they're pushing this idea that they do know, and then you have to subscribe to their version of whatever that reality is. And so you're like, well, but I feel like I have psychic abilities, but I see these other things, but I just have a very different perspective. And you're telling me I'm crazy. So that is the biggest challenge, right? Because it becomes very difficult for you as like little old me being like, well, how can I be right and all of that be mistaken? That is the work. And yes, and also, Kiwi, I agree with you. It's about knowing how to keep a secret. Not everything's meant for everything. And if it was that easy, then everyone would do it. And I don't know if you guys are anything like me, where I never wanted anything that everyone else had. I wanted something really special, really secret, really unique that was mine. And guess what? We all have that. And it's special because it's yours. And no one else is going to put things together in just the right way that you will. No one's going to love the same things that you love and see the connections in the same way you do. And I hope that going forward, we can all meet and have more relationships with each other, with others who can kind of see that as well and give each other the freedom to do that. So with that, I'm going to end this live. Thank you guys for joining me as Jean Grey, as we talked a little bit about science and psychic abilities and, a very practical way of doing magic stuff, right? Oh, thanks, Joey. And thank you guys for the gifts and the support. We are working on a lot more live streaming broadcasting shows and putting that together in such a way that you can help support us in that kind of way, because after all, like, what is it saying? Video killed the radio star and streaming killed everything. So that idea of like, at 6 p.m. waiting for your show on a weekly basis and waiting and like with your friends, like, what's going to happen next? That I want to bring that kind of magic and awe back into like live broadcasts and the great cosmic show. And so I welcome all of you guys to, hold on to what's sacred, love what you love. Don't let anyone make you feel like it doesn't matter and it's not worth it. Trust me, it matters. It really does. Those little things you're like, it does matter, because it matters to you. And at the end, that's all that counts. Okay, friends, thank you so much for joining me for this. So remember, it takes true courage for you to be exactly you in the game of life. So please do be you, because the universe is counting on you. No pressure, but no worries. I got your back. And until next time, goodbye.